unable to join this session. I do hope I have everyone's permission to go ahead and record. All right, good evening once again, Gemstars, and welcome to our Team 7 ICF Team Coaching Competence knowledge sharing session. This started a couple of months back, where within the GEMS coaching community, we had grouped everyone into different teams to study ICF Team Competence 1 to 8, and at every period, each team would come back and share their knowledge with the larger team. We had team 1 who shared on demonstrate ethical practice. Then team 2 shared on the ICF team team competence 2, which embodies a coaching mindset. Then team 3 shared on establishes and maintains agreement. Team 4 shared on cultivate trust and safety. Team 5 shared on ICF competence 5, which is maintains presence. And team 6, the last session we had, shared on ICF competence 6, which is listens actively. It is another exciting knowledge sharing period, and we are glad to have team 7 join us this evening to talk about evoke awareness. Because of time, we just go right ahead and have team 7 come up and share their knowledge with us. On that note, I'll hand over to Toyi to moderate for team 7. Toyi, thank you so much for all that you do, and over to you.
Okay, good evening, Gems. Welcome to Team 7's. I apologize that my environment's a bit noisy. It's at home with all the family. So I'm trying to move to a less noisy location now.
Who's going to share, okay. Who's going to share the slide for Team 7?
Okay, I think Coach. Okay, thank you, Coach Lola. Coach Lola.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe everyone can see my screen at this point.
Yes, yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I'll just start so that we don't take people's time. We've already gone far into the hour of the day. We should have started at 7. So I once again say good evening to everyone. Like Coach Lara had mentioned in our opening remark, we're looking at the 7th competence under the ICF core competencies for coaches. And we'll be talking about evoke awareness, which is a key competence that is required. The ability to evoke awareness is a particular skill that is required for all coaches under the ICF core competency model. Today, in the course of our discussion, I'd like to share with us the table of contents. We'll look at the introduction. But before I proceed, I would like to also acknowledge the fact that this is a teamwork, and my other team members will also be sharing in the course of the discussion. I'm just going to take a few slides before I hand over to my other team members to also share what we have put together as our learning, our care, knowledge for sharing for this particular session. We'll be looking at the introduction. We'll be talking about the general definition of evoke awareness. We'll also be looking at what to do as a coach to evoke awareness and why it is important for us as a coach to be able to evoke awareness. And then we'll go straight to the conclusion and the summary part. And then the Q&A session would also take place immediately after. For the essence of introduction, I'll refer again to what Coach Lara said at the beginning of this session, the fact that we have 8 competencies that is required of a coach. And the ICF has established that they believe that these competencies are ethical. They are what is required to facilitate a session effectively. And we'll be looking at the 7th competence, which is ability to evoke awareness in the coachee. For the purpose of definition, the word evoke and awareness are 2 words together. And so we're going to be breaking it down. We'll start with the word evoke, which simply means to call up. I like to use the word trigger. And what comes to my mind when I talk about evoke is looking at it hypothetically is when somebody has an allergy, you know, something triggers the allergy. So you evoke the allergy by taking something. And so for you to evoke a particular level of awareness, you need to do something. And that, you know, evoke means to elicit, to provoke, to call forth, to produce, to summon. And this you can do by creating through an emotion, an event. You can evoke through a memory, mental image, by pictures, by looking at the past, mood, feelings, are different ways where you can evoke or you can call up a particular emotion. You know, you can call up an event to help you bring up the level of awareness that you're trying to create for a particular client. Okay, so the next word here is awareness. What is awareness? Awareness simply means having an understanding of a situation. You are conscious of the subject matter. You are informed, you are aware. And that is when you talk about awareness. Now, putting these 2 words together, we're going to be looking at the ICF definition of 2021, which says that evoking awareness means to facilitate the coach's insight and learning by using tools and techniques such as powerful questioning. How do you do that? One of them is powerful questioning. Silence. I am observing a deliberate silence because all of you are going to be wondering what is wrong. Is it my network? That is the power of silence. It evokes awareness. It makes you have a deep thought. You begin to wonder. Metaphor or analogy. Those are good techniques that you can use to evoke awareness. What to do as a coach to evoke awareness. These are quick tips of what you can do to evoke awareness, because you know you want to ensure that your client or your coachee has that aha moment, that moment that it says, oh, I wasn't thinking about this before. Oh, now it comes to me. Why? You know, or what, or how. That aha moment when it struck them, like, yes, now this is it, is the ability to evoke awareness that brings that aha moment. And how do you do that? Because when you're coaching your client, you want to find out what is coming up for them. What are they learning? What is the new thing that is coming up for them? And if you are not evoking the awareness, they might not be learning anything new, or they are not able to break any new ground. Now, one of the ways that you can do this is to make use of concrete examples and metaphors. Like, for instance, you could ask, is it like sitting on a hot coal? Or is it that you're in between the Red Sea, the ocean and the Blue Sea? You know, using those kind of metaphors help them to think deeply, because when you use that metaphor, they begin to see whether it relates with what they're actually going through. And they either tell you no or yes. You need to have an understanding of the background, and you can only have an understanding of the background if you are present. If you are observing properly. You need to ensure that you ask the right questions. You question their beliefs, you question their values, and you question their wants. But in doing this, you need to seek their permission. Do you mind if I ask? I have observed something. I've observed, that this is your belief. You need to ask their permission before you ask questions around beliefs and values so that it does not look as if you are being judgmental. Evoke the team's thinking through great questioning ability. One of the things I found that as a coach, for you to ask the right question, you need to be present in the moment. If you are not, you might miss it and you will not be able to ask the right question. I had an experience where I lost it. I didn't ask the right question. I was talking to a client and she was talking to me about her boss and, she has a good relationship with him, but she wants to have a better relationship. And I asked, why is it important for you to have a better relationship with your boss? For heaven's sake, everybody knows why it is important for you to have a better relationship. But because I was lost in my thought for a second, my questioning went wrong. Because what I should have asked is, why is it important for you to, what makes it important for you to discuss this now? What makes it important for you to want to talk about having a better relationship with your line manager? And then she can shed more light. Not why is it important, because it's given. If you don't have a good relationship with your line manager, you might as well call it quits with the job. So for you to evoke awareness, your questioning has to be on point. And the only way you can have good questioning ability is when you are present in the moment, when you observe. Ensure you flow as the coaching session progresses. You flow only because you are present. Don't preempt, don't assume. Don't take the first phase and then assume that this is where this conversation is going to end. Flow with it. Let the client take you through their journey and be present for them in that session, as against knowing the outcome before the session commences. One very important thing that ICF will always frown out is when coaches interject or interrupt clients. You are expected to pause at least 3 to 5 seconds after a client has said something. Pause. Don't interrupt. And then the law is 80% of the time is a client that should be talking. You should only talk 20%. And don't interrupt, don't interrupt, don't interject. Avoid it completely. It's a no for you as a coach. And respect their silence time. Most times when we ask a client a question and the client keeps quiet for a while, we feel the need to say something because you feel the silence is a bit awkward. But respect it. Step back, hold on. Let them take their time to put their thoughts together, because in that silent moment, they're gathering their thoughts and they're bringing some things to bear. But if you interject, you might just allow them, you might just say something, they might not go deeply into what they're really thinking or what they really want to share. So step back when the need arises. Give them their silent time to think through and to come out to say everything that is really pondering on their mind. And most importantly, avoid being emotionally attached. Don't get lost in the story. Detach yourself completely from it, because you'll get lost in it. And as I said over and over, we need to observe. But we're not going to only observe what they are saying. We will observe what they are not saying as well, both the non-verbal and the verbal cues. I was sharing a particular scenario when I was talking to a particular client, and when I asked him, what would you like to talk about today? He had a deep sigh, he took a deep breath, like, and I took a cue from that, and he went ahead with the story. But before I reflected back to him, I made him realize that before you started speaking, you took a deep breath. Can you tell me more about that? And then it's opened up his mind, like he was really tired, because it was a cue. And if I had missed it, it wouldn't have allowed me to ask the right question, or it wouldn't have helped me to evoke the level of awareness that is required for that client to be able to come up with a better way to resolve whatever challenge or whatever they needed to clear in their head at that point in time. At this point, I would like to hand over to my team member. I'll hand over to Mary. Hello, Mary, are you there?
Yes, Omolola, thank you so much.
All right, so Coach Mary, please, you can go take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, you have spoken very well. You really opened the conversation better. Thank you so much. Now, looking at the importance of invoking awareness, of course, this can only start where you have powerful conversation with a client. The powerful conversation helps to lay the foundation. The power of conversation helps to create the atmosphere, because the whole essence of having the coaching section is not just to get to hear the sweet voice of the client. It's not just to see probably the client's face. It's for there to be a change. It's so that the client can be taken into a journey of transitioning into his inner mind and back to a new world. So the conversation and the effective communication skill helps to ensure that the coaching section is fruitful. Of course, if we take away evoking awareness in a coaching section, then you just find out that the coaching section is just going to be another moment of chit chat, and the purpose for which the coaching section was established will definitely be defeated. Looking at our slide, he said one of the importance is that it helps to facilitate clients having insight and then learn. Of course, remember when I said to evoke awareness is to help the clients to transition. And how will they transition? How will they move from point 1 to point 2? It is based on the effective questioning skill. It is based on good communication skill. And then it's also based on the coach being present. Of course, being present also creates the room for the client to feel safer and then to trust the process. Because without this, the purpose will not be achieved. So when this is in place, then it helps the client to have a greater insight. And the insight comes from the questioning. The questioning, of course, comes from asking questions that challenges the client's beliefs, the client's perception, the view about an issue, or holding on to an issue without letting go. And this process, this is when the client processes his thoughts or her thoughts. So this is one of the importance of evoking awareness in the coaching section. Another point worthy of note has to do with the fact that it helps clients to go into their space. So at this point in time, it is just the client being in his or her own world. And that is where you find the moment of decision, the moments of processing what the person has been holding on in the past, the belief that the person has been holding on to, probably not letting go an issue, believing that either party A is wrong, as against saying from the other perspective. So they allow the client to go into his or her space can only materialize when we don't interject, when we don't come into that space, because that is where the processing comes. And it is at that point that you have the solution coming to be. So it is very, very important when we're having the coaching section, we observe, because at that point the client is quiet. We shouldn't just jump in to feel that, oh, no, I guess this client probably doesn't understand what I'm saying. Observe. From the observation, we can tell from the body language, the non-verbal cues, So if this helps a client to go into their space, and going into their space is because they need to come out feeling refreshed, having a different vision. It also results in a moment of sober reflection. Of course, sober reflection comes at the point when they are in their space. And it is in the point of reflecting, processing what they had held on to. That is when they come to the reality. And it is at this stage we say they are now in the state of knowing. Because in the state of knowing is when the solution starts to unfold. But when they are in the state of not knowing, then the solution will not come. Then the coaching section, the coaching time will just be a fruitless effort. So coming to the realization, coming to the state of knowing, serve as an empowerment. Coming to the state of knowing for the client, serve as being free. You know, it's just like the image of a butterfly that we have on the slide shows that freedom. Now the new dawn has come. Now it's time for the client to see things from different perspective. Oh, it's time for the client to realize that, oh, you mean I can do this? Oh, you mean I'm being the one limiting myself? That's in terms of the client. So the client begins to have so many thoughts, you know, in their mind and processing at the same time for a solution to come up. And looking at that, it linked to the next point, say clients come up with their solution and also own the solution, because now they're in the state of knowing. And being in the state of knowing, that is when the solution begins to unfold. Being in the state of knowing gives them that empowerment. It helps the clients to move, to go inside, spend time in that silence mode. Think deep, go deeper, then elicit insight, and then solution. Of course, because the solution is coming from their clients and not from the coach, then there is ownership. There is ownership to the solution that had come up based on the processing journey which the client had undergone. So the client comes up with a solution and owns the solution. And that is why I found out that because the client comes up with a solution, then there is that burden, that hunger to run with the solution, to not to fall short. Yes, sometimes they might feel, okay, I've not been up to speed with this solution. They are quick to come back to the drawing board. Now, we also look at another importance of invoking awareness in the coaching section. And we say that it also results in mind shifts. Of course, when there is mind shifts, there's a change in perception, there's change in beliefs, there's change in reasoning, there's change in what they visualize, there's change in the client seeing him or herself in a bigger picture as against that limit level or limit belief, or believing that, oh, no, probably a woman cannot head an organization, probably a woman cannot emerge as the MD, if that has been the issue with such a client. So the client now is now more empowered because he has now been able to come up with a solution, and now he gets to see things, and then he's fired up. And so that is the importance of invoking awareness. So this result in mind shift. It result in mind shift in the area of belief, in the area of value, in the area of perception, in the area of reasoning. It also results in forgiveness, and the healing process commences for the clients. Yes. Why is this so? For example, a client probably had assumed that, oh, I have a wicked uncle, and I believe I would have gone far in life if that uncle had been able to sponsor my education and what have you. But because of the coaching process, section, that have been able to evoke awareness. Now, evoking awareness now is the client. Now the client now gets to realize that, oh, no. I think I've been unfair, even in the way I have reasoned. I think I also have a power. I think I also have this to have been able to solve this problem, because at that point in time, then the client will realize that he will now come up with 3-4 solutions and realize that, okay, looking at the uncle, I'm citing that as an example, probably was wrong. So there's that forgiveness that sets in. The journey of forgiveness takes place, and the healing process begins to unfold. Now, also say that it helps the client to have clear vision and insight. And of course, when the client has clear vision and insight, it gets more empowered, it gets more excited, it gets more rejuvenated, and then there's that flow of vibes. Believe that, oh, I can do this, I believe I can do that, because that insight had been created. So we also have another point here that says that for the importance of invoking awareness, that it helps the client to become more accountable. The client become more accountable. And because it's now more accountable, it gets more intentional, and it tries to be consistent in the process of having a new him. So the whole essence of evoking awareness is like the clients having to look at the mirror and then seeing himself being renewed, seeing himself looking like a young lad, ready to fly, ready to take the world by the storm. That is the whole essence of the importance of evoking awareness. So when we have this, then we say, yes, the purpose for the coaching section is achieved. Because yes, if we have every other thing and we have not been able to have this in place, if the client is not aware, then the whole point, the whole essence will be defeated. So the importance of evoking awareness does a lot to the client, because it creates the client anew. It makes the client to see him or herself in a different perspective. Then there's a new dawn for the clients. And so because of that, the client now with much vigor begins to challenge himself, begins to see that, oh, wow, I've been limiting myself. It's like having a veil being removed from the client. Next slide, please. So as a coach, we invoke true inquiry above anything else for greater understanding, awareness, and clarity. So this competency helps the coach to use this tool, to use this skill to bring the client to a new world. Inquiry provides space for the client to answer some questions as thrown to him by the coach. So the very act of answering often helps the client to reach at that point of clarity. And so that is why it is very, very important for a coach to be able to utilize that excellent coaching skill. It is important for the coach to be able to make the conversation to be rich and thick, because when the conversation is rich and thick, then meaning that the communication skill had been put to effective use, and then there's a bond between the client and the coach. So the very act of answering often helps client to reach that clarity point, primarily because of the need to structure their ideas when formulating a response. So the process of thinking out loud and being able to structure idea itself contribute to creating awareness, sometimes without much participation from the coach. So it is very, very important for us to, as a coach, to be able to use this skill to help the client to get to that reality of the purpose of having that conversation being fruitful, and for the new man in the client to emerge. Thank you so much.
Woo.
Wow. Well
Awesome.
done.
Fantastic.
That was wonderful, Coach Mary and Coach Lola. Even though I listened to it before, it's like I'm listening to it for the first time all over again. It just, buttresses how very important our role is as coaches, and how very sensitive we have to be to the emotional and mental well-being to the people that we are counseling. So the floor is now open for question and answers. Before that, we'll have one or two people from the Team 7 add their own perspectives to what has been discussed this evening. So can I have one or two people? I personally have one or two things to add. And then once I'm done, we'll have some other members of Group 7 say one or two things about it. Now, in the course of our research by my very excellent team, one of the things that struck me was this concept of the states of knowing that were discussed by a gentleman called Shipper, as well as Messrs. Grime and Dudley. And what they did was to categorize the states of knowing, or what they called two states of self-awareness, into categories. Because the truth is, awareness is knowledge. And sometimes you may be aware of what you know. Sometimes you may not be aware of what you know. So they defined the first category as no self-awareness of knowledge, where a person can possess knowledge about something, but not realize he or she has this information. And they call this unconscious competence. So there's a knowledge about that thing, which is why we as coaches encourage people we're talking to come up with their own solutions as opposed to imposing our own ideas upon them. Because some of this knowledge can be there but not have come to their consciousness. So that they called unconscious competence. Then they said there's also the lack of knowledge about something and they not realize the knowledge is lacking, which is unconscious incompetence. So category A is unconscious competence and unconscious incompetence, where a person can possess knowledge and not know it, or a person cannot know something and not realize that they don't know that thing. So the second category is what they call self-awareness of knowledge, where a person can possess knowledge about something and realize it, which they call conscious competence, or be aware of a knowledge of information, that the knowledge or information is lacking, which is conscious incompetence. And it really struck me that we as individuals, as human beings, have so much potential within us. And a lot of it is untapped because our external environment and our concept, our self-concept sometimes gets in the way. And our role as coaches is to help each person we speak to visit that potential within them and encourage them to reach beyond where they are to what they could be. Thank you very much. Can we have one more contribution?
Okay.
Do we,
Can
do we
I go
have?
next?
Oh, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Toyin. That was fantastic. And thank you, Lola, as well as Mary, for laying that very good foundation for every one of us to learn from you. Thank you. Okay, I would just like to add my thoughts from the book that I read by Marsha Reynolds, Coach the Person, Not the Problem. I'm trying to, I'll try and link one of the concepts that she had thought around inquiry to the concluding part of the presentation, which reads, as a coach, we evoke through inquiry above anything else for better understanding. Now, a lot of us, our basic understanding of coaching is we ask questions to elucidate responses. But when we look at it from the concept of evoking awareness, then we need to shift from asking questions to making inquiries called reflective inquiries. I mean, Coach Lola spoke extensively about it when she gave an example of when you're coaching someone and you ask the question, what, maybe you notice something and you ask the question, what makes it important for them to have that good relationship, rather than asking just why. This is because reflective inquiry evokes deeper insight into your coach's inner world, not just asking questions on the surface. A lot of times as well, coaches usually ask, okay, so what question am I going to ask next? However, if you are present with your clients or with your coachee, and you're able to observe all the non-verbal and verbal cues, that would give you more opportunity to make that reflective inquiry where you get them to think deeper into whatever might be going on in their mind, or rephrasing whatever they've asked to get them to think deeper. I think we need to understand that using that methodology of reflective inquiry, not just asking questions because we are seeking answers, would help us to evoke awareness with our coachee. I think it's really powerful, because as coaches as well, we need to see ourselves as thinking partners with our coachees. You're not just there to ask them questions to walk them through. No, we are there to handhold, think through, help them. Of course, not getting emotionally involved, but to just help support and get them to think and reflect so they can find their own solutions. I think it's important that we begin to see the need for us to go beyond just asking questions to more around reflective inquiry that helps them to search deeper, reflect, and then come up with their own solution from their own inner mind, from their core. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Lara. Very, very important indeed. I think we have a question from Toba. So we'll take that question first. Then I believe Coach Adibayo also wanted to make one or two contributions to the session. Please, Toba, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Group 7, and thank you so much for this great presentation. Now, this is my question, and I have been thinking about it then also for a while, but thank God that you made mention of it during your presentation. I noticed that at a certain level of, I don't know, my path or my life, there's always a need for instructions, and there's always a need for, okay, do this, do it like this. So when I come to a coach or I come to people for advice or for a roadmap, I want someone to tell me, okay, go to the left. So, but what if I'm getting questions and we're asking questions and questions to the extent that I will not be the one to say that, okay, left is the best for me or right is the best for me. How do we balance it? How do we balance it? Because I've maybe as an aspiring coach, I have people that I talk to, and I still and they will come and say, okay, there's one just last 2 weeks. He came, he wanted to buy a car, and he wanted to also have want to change his accommodation. So I value the two, and I just look at my own life and see how those things work for me. Then I advise on what I think the person should do. But later, I just remember how Coach Lara used to deal with me. And I just say, okay, wow, I've missed it again in this area. I'm supposed to ask this guy this question, this question, this question. Maybe at the end of the day, then allow him to give me allow him to solve the problem himself. So please, where do we draw the line? That's my question. Where can we come up and help someone to give a roadmap and say, okay, I think doing like this will be good, or this is the implication of doing like this, and this is the implication of doing like this. So pick one, look at it, and also asking questions. Sometimes the question, maybe I'm not good enough to ask the best question, but I think sometimes those questions are not coming out, will not generate the result that I want, especially when somebody have a very strong mind and passions to do something. So when do I draw the line of advising somebody or keep on asking questions until the result comes out? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I was going to say if Coach Lara wants to give a response to that first? I have a response as well.
Okay, I'll just say something briefly. First and foremost, as a coach, it's not our job to give advice. And that's why I love the fact that Coach Lara referred to the book, Coach the Person, Not the Problem. Our job as a coach is to use the power of reflective inquiry to open the mind of the client so that they see inside of them what they thought they never had. You are intelligent, you have the skill, you have the willpower. You just need a bit of, that reflective inquiry to bring it out of you. So it's not the job. So that's why they say, don't mix up the job of a coach with that of a consultant or a therapist or a trainer or even a mentor. As a coach, our job is to use the power of reflective inquiry to evoke awareness that will open the mind of the client or the coachee so that they begin to see, like create that conscious awareness of what they know or what they don't know or what they need to know that they don't know. That is our job as a coach. So I'll hand over to Coach Lara now to add a closing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach Lola, for that. And thanks, Toba, for that question. I mean, I could relate with it. You need to begin to understand how do you differentiate being a coach from being a mentor, from being a counselor as well. It's understandable, especially for people that are just starting their coaching career, to still once in a while. Okay, you'd like to add to the question. Okay, Coach B, that's fine. That are just starting their career to once in a while still get things muddled up. You're not asking questions, you're giving advice, maybe from a place of being a counselor or from a place of being a mentor or from a place of, oh, you're experienced in that area. So you have to come to a point of conscious awareness of yourself as a coach, where you're deliberately telling yourself you're wearing your coaching hat here, what should you be doing? You should be asking reflective inquiry. I mean, it's easy for anybody to come and from your own experience, you can say, think about it now, prioritize now. Even for people like myself, who is even a consultant, sometimes you also want to put your consulting analysis and prioritization and everything into coaching, But what I would recommend is be in a state of consciousness of being a coach, to walk the person through using your coaching methodologies, using your coaching tools like reflective inquiry. Okay, asking, okay, so why is it important for you to buy a car at this period? Why is it important for you to also have a house at this period? If you look at both, which would you, so you need to get yourself into that consciousness of being a coach when people come to you for inquiries or for support in that area. Another thing is you can also ask, so do you want me to respond to you as a coach, as a counselor, or as a mentor? I ask, because what that helps me to do is to meet the expectation of the person I'm conversing with. I might be using coaching for you, and in your own mind, you want me to use mentoring for you. So I would ask, what do you want from me? Do you want my response as a coach, as a mentor, as a consultant, or as an experienced leader? So that can also help put you in that state of awareness of what the coach, the person you are speaking to, requires of you and what their expectations are. So that way it eliminates you feeling guilty. The reason why you're feeling guilty is because perhaps you've responded as a mentor, or you've given advice as a counselor. And after the conversation, you were reflecting and now wondering, oh, why didn't I give advice as a coach? So that would eliminate your feeling of guilt if you clarify the position that they expect from you up front. I hope that helps. Coach B, 1-2 minutes, very quickly.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity. I just wanted to do something for Toba, which is what was done for my class when we attended ORCA. And that just answered that question in my heart forever. I got into ORCA already an experienced trainer, consultant, and mentor. And I had done mentoring courses in various places. So I was shocked when I got there and they were saying mentoring was different from coaching, blah, blah, blah. But so of course in the class, they wanted to, when Mr. Olushola is doing things, we still, when TC is talking, I would still, my natural self come up with, this is what should be done, some obvious things. And then he just asked us a few questions, which is what I want to do. Toba, if you want to ask yourself, what is life? And you find out that if you have 10 people in a class, there will be several definitions for what life is. What life is for you is different from what life is for the next person. And even if you come from the same mother, you will still find out that you will define life different. The reality at the end of the day is that each person, each human being is like a seed. When you hold a seed in your hand, everything that seed needs to reach and attain greatness is inside. So all the seed now needs is not for somebody to say, have this DNA, have that DNA. It is now just an environment to support, like the soil, appropriate environment, which is like the soil, water, weather, and all of that. Now that's who you are as a coach. Inside, you don't have we've got to get to that place where each of us as coaches would tell ourselves and agree that we sincerely do not have the answer to the next person's solution. And I found out even in my home that many times the answer is even inside my children. So all along, before I began to get into using coaching tools in the home, I had just been wasting a whole lot of time advising and telling children, do it this way, do it that way. When I turned and I began to apply that mindset that the solution is inside the person, I began to see my children come out like roses. So when you come to that place, now I must say that there will be certain places where maybe as a result of experience that the client has had and all of that, confusion comes in too many. Of course, with proper, as you improve your questioning skills, you will be able to elicit the information that you need for them to see it by their own selves. In fact, they'll get to, when you improve your coaching skills, questioning skills, you get to that place where you see your client go, oh my God, how come I didn't think of that? Oh my God, are you asking a question? You're not saying anything. And they are like, oh my God, okay, so okay, thank you. Well, I hope I said something. That's it, I'm stopping. I think you want me to stop, Abi?
You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry, Coach B. You got the message. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you for bringing it home for us. Thank you so much. God bless you. And thank you, Coach Dorothy, for that comment. I think that is also spot on. The brain with the problem is the brain with the solution. Spot on. Thank you so much. Tony, over to you.
Yes, Coach Lara, I know we're pressed for time, but I think thank God also
yes,
was raising his hand. Yeah. So please, thank God, you can go ahead so we can quickly address your question.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks to Group 7 for such a wonderful presentation. I really feel privileged to be here and be learning. And although I joined late, I came in quite late. So please, my question is, in one of the things that was said now, if you are coaching a client or if you are with someone and you're trying to give them a sense of productivity, now you find out that the person, your client in question has one of the levels, which is the part of unconscious competence. How do you get to like go through your clients and bring him out of that unconscious competence to become conscious that he's competent? So how do you bring him from being unconsciously competent to where he's conscious that he's a very competent person, so that he can actually do what he's meant to do, not just effectively, but also efficiently?
Can we have someone from Team 7 respond to his question? Mary, would you be able to contribute something? Sorry, is Mary still on the call, please? Okay, I'm not sure she's still on the call. Coach Ola still on the call, please?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if you could contribute something to answering.
Oh, sorry, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, so he was asking how to handle a state of unconscious competence and unconscious incompetence.
No, he's saying, how do you bring somebody who has, how do you get someone who doesn't know he has the solution to understand that he actually has the solution?
Yes, that is unconscious competence. He knows he has the competence, but he doesn't know he has it.
Yes, yes.
And then there's somebody that doesn't know it and doesn't have it. So what you do is also a function of the reflective inquiry. You know, how has the coachee handled such an instance in the past? You try to focus on the coachee's strengths. And that's a function of reflective inquiry. You know, like for instance, you know, when I was coaching someone and then they ask like, oh, what do you think I can do in this instance? And the right question probably would be, if somebody were to be in your shoes and you want to offer or you want to guide them on what to do, what would you be recommending? Or what would your advice be? And then you see them begin to think, because now they've taken themselves out of the problem. And then they're looking at it as, oh, let me see what I can even tell the other person. It helps them to come up with solutions. So it's not you telling them what to do. So all of this also lies in the reflective inquiry and the kind of questions that you're going to use to solicit that, to evoke that awareness. So because the person knows, it's just that he does not know that he knows. So in that instance, you're asking the person how they handled such a situation in the past, or what do they think they would have told somebody else that is currently in their shoes in that instance. What would they suggest? You know, and based on that, you see them coming up with different ideas or suggestions.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I hope that was helpful. Thank God.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Thank you very much. It was. Right. And then second question, just quickly. I don't know. It has been a thought, and I just said like I would just ask and then get different perspective now. So when we talk about a coach, now do we I know there's a difference between being a man leader. So now, as a coach, are you going to quantify the person?
Sorry, thank God. I think your network is presenting some issues. We can't hear your question.
Oh,
do you
sorry.
think you could? Okay, can you? Okay, please repeat. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I was saying, I know there are various discourse about a leader and a manager, and we believe that there's a difference between a leader and a manager. So now I'm asking, as a coach, are you going to classify a coach as a leader, or are you going to classify the coach as a manager, or do you classify the coach as both in various instances?
No, I'm not sure if I have the right answer to that question, because I'm not sure in which context asking this question. But what I know is that in the workplace, your line manager might be your coach, but that kind of coaching speaks to technical competence, so that the person is like your coach, guiding you on how to learn the rope of what to do in the office. So that now comes into what kind of leadership style that person is using, either managing you as a leader or as a manager. That coach is, it's almost like an apprentice kind of relationship where somebody is teaching somebody else, or a football coach, as it were. But the kind of coaching here, I'm not sure it has anything to do with leadership or manager. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
No,
Okay, in
ahead.
addition to that,
okay,
thank you, Laura. In addition to that, manager is just a title. I think leadership is the action itself. So you can't bear the title, you're a manager, of course you are. And when it comes to leadership right now, you're probably applying your coaching skills right now. So even as a manager, you can also still apply your coaching skills, in the way at which you deal and relate with your people. And that means that you are probably dealing, or you are reacting or acting the capacity as a leader. Once you start bringing up coaching skills, even though you have the title manager, but when you start using coaching skills, then I can actually call you a leader. So leadership is the act itself, but manager is actually the title that you actually have. I think that also helps as well.
Thank you. I was going to say that coaching is a skill that either a leader or a manager can use. But having said that, I think it would also be nice to get people to take up their coaching certifications and coaching training as well. There's a lot of opportunity that comes with, taking your coaching certification. It transforms your life. That's just what I'm going to say. On that note, I know we have past time. Tony, over to you. You still want to get one or two team members in 1 or 2 minutes to give their comments?
Yes, I was going to ask if anybody else, any other team member wanted to say 1 or 2 things, because I'm quite conscious of time. I think that was Coach Adebayo that just spoke.
Yes, very well. We're good.
Yes.
We're good.
Because you had mentioned before that you wanted to say 1 or 2 things. Okay. Are there any further questions, or any team member wants to say anything? Okay.
James,
well done, Team 7. Good job.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I think we can round up.
Okay.
Take the conversation to the group.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking out some time to be part of today's session. Thank you, Team 7. Thank you to every member of the team. Well done. Great job. And we look forward to the last team. That's Team 8. And I'm hoping that it's going to be another insightful, transformative coaching learning session. On that note, thank you everyone for taking out some time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your public holiday tomorrow, and do have a productive week ahead. Thank you and God bless. For some people that still wants to dance, you can stay on for DJ.
Thank you, ma'am.
DJ Coach Lara.
Thank you.
All of the above. Master of all
DJ CLY. DJ Clyde.
DJ Coach Lara. Don't worry, guys. Relax and let's enjoy. Let's enjoy the rest.
Thank you, Coach
of
Lara.
The evening. Yay. This is not the song I'm looking for. Okay.
Every day by day, I just penetrate. Everything I do, we just penetrate. I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah. I'm living large, I get angels so for my ghetto. Never forget where I come from, not from ghetto. Oh, no, 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 no. I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah. Oh.